Senator Paul.
Dr. Byman, do you think that any of Iran's desire to modernize their ballistic missile system is in relation to a competition with Saudi Arabia or the Gulf states, or in reaction to the armaments that they possess?
To some degree, sir, yes. I think they have a number of motivations for modernizing their ballistic missile program, including their sense of threat from the United States, but also from the Gulf states.
Right. Do you think there is an arms race to a certain extent between the Gulf states and Iran, that one side gets something, the other side thinks they have to go a little farther, that it goes back and forth?
A little bit, sir, but the budgets aren't even. The Iranians are frankly rather broke, despite the somewhat limited sanctions relief, and the Gulf states have a lot of money, so it's not a fair competition from their point of view.
I think that's a good point to make, because I think the perceived danger of Iran is such around here that we think, oh my goodness, Iran is way ahead in the arms battle, and in fact, they think they may need to catch up. So if we're interested in the perceptions of the two rivals in the Middle East, the perception of Iran and the actuality is they got a lot less money and they feel the need to catch up. So I guess then that leads to the question of, we have a pending sale of a large amount of weapons to Saudi Arabia. Do you think that encourages or discourages Iran from thinking they need to advance their ballistic missiles?
I do think it encourages it, but frankly, sir, they have a lot of other reasons they want to do it, so I don't think the impact is that significant.
Right. With regard to the war in Yemen, we not too long ago had an armed raid in there, and our soldiers went into a small village, killed some al-Qaeda operatives, and unfortunately killed their wives and children as well. And don't get me wrong, I don't blame our soldiers. They have a job to do, and they do what they're told to do. I do frankly though blame the policymakers often, and I think they deserve some rebuke or some discussion over what the policy is. I guess my question is, do we create more terrorists than we kill when we go in and kill a handful of people in a village, in a remote village in Yemen? And to my understanding, I think the oral tradition of those deaths of the people in that village will spread throughout the community and throughout the land, and they'll remember it 100 years from now. Long after, you know, we're gone, there'll still be people remembering that, and they'll still hate the Saudis for it, they'll hate us for it, they'll hate us for supplying the Saudis with the bombs that have been dropped on funeral processions. I just think that when we're thinking about, you know, we're talking about who are we fighting, it's like we're fighting an ideology, and I mean, people just pop up. It's not like ISIS is like calling you on the phone and saying attack, but people are attracted by this ideology, but they're attracted by it because they feel helpless, under assault, and they feel like that we have all the weapons to destroy them anywhere, anytime. And so I guess the question is, you know, do we want more manned raids in Yemen? Do we want to send troops into Yemen? Do we want to take the port back? You know, there are people talking about a surge in Yemen. There are people talking about another surge in Afghanistan. Or is this the way we're going to end the war on us, the terrorist war of attacking us? Are we going to end it by, you know, ratcheting up more wars in Yemen or Afghanistan? I'll leave that question for both of you.
Senator, I'll take a first attempt. I would say that we're under assault both by groups and by an ideology. And the groups have to be attacked. And so that may be a drone campaign, that may be allies who arrest them, that may be counterinsurgency, but there does need to be some action against some of these groups on the kinetic side, on the violent side. That doesn't solve the problem, but that is necessary. However, that doesn't mean we have to go against every group in every country everywhere in the world. And I think one difficulty this country has had is actually been drawing limits. We can say the Islamic State is in many, many countries, but it's only active in an anti-American sense in a few of those. And we need to recognize which are priorities. And the big thing, Senator, I would say is we need to improve our ability to help our allies, our programs to train them, to arm them, and improve their capability, because that's the lasting solution.
Yeah, but I guess with the al-Qaeda rebels in Yemen, they're actually fighting against the Houthis. So, I mean, they're sort of ostensibly on our side. And are we really making things better? Maybe they'd, you know, be killed in the battle with the Houthis. Maybe they'd decide in allying with the Saudi side that they are more interested in taking back land from the Houthis. And I just think that ultimately that we do that, I think we end up getting more blowback from it than killing a handful of people in a remote village in Yemen. We do have to protect ourselves. We don't want them coming here. We have to stop them if they're plotting to attack us in an organized, sufficient way. But every rebel around the world, every time we kill one, we create 10 more. And so I would have to disagree with you that going into a remote village in Yemen and saying that's the policy you have to decide. Is that a good idea? I guarantee there's another couple hundred people just like that in Yemen. Do you want 10 more raids like that? Do you want to send our Navy SEALs into Yemen? You think that's a good idea? I think that's a terrible idea.